name was G-Face, right? My brother was shot at Hot Wing Cafe on La Brea and Melrose by a nigga from Schoolyard, a hood we got along with before I went to jail. If any of y'all familiar with the rapper Big Sad 1900, then you know he always shout out somebody named Face, and Face is my brother. And this is him right here on my chain. As I mentioned in the story before, me and my brother had ended up going to Arizona on some pimp shit, and I ended up getting locked up, which led to him getting locked up later. Only thing was, he received way less time than me, so he ended up getting out. So he back at the house, and you know what I'm saying, he chilling and shit, but at the same time, he trying to knock him another 304. I remember like month after month I call, you know what I'm saying? I'd be like, damn, you still ain't knocked nothing? He like, hell no. I'd be like, damn, what's going on? He'll be like, shit, nobody want to take him to the blade and shit. Because when we first got in the game, like all our homies was real close. So if one ride out, we'll ride out with each other, and whoever didn't have a car will ride with this person and help them get a female, and you know what I'm saying? We'll do shit like that. But he like, hell no, it ain't like that no more. He like, times changed. So eventually more time was going by. And now he telling me about how everybody changing and how things are changing. He like, yeah, the lines are being blurred between gangbanging and ism now. Because now a lot of gangbangers are starting to infiltrate the game. And shit, I guess we was the niggas that set that trend. But the crazy thing is, when we first like really got into the game and started taking it real serious, you know, prime time ism hours is like 3 in the morning, like late night and shit, you know what I'm saying? And that was the time that most of the gangbangers was asleep. Like I swear, on the streets around that time, you did not have to worry about seeing gangbangers like that. And based on we always was sleep in the daytime and up all night, the shit got crazy. It got to the point where we forgot them motherfuckers even existed until we seen them, even though we came from gangbanging. But based on that, you know what I'm saying, the gangbangers is up at 3 in the morning now because they done got into the game, you feel me? They got 304s paying them, so they got a reason to be up at 3, 4, 5 in the morning now. But anyways, you know what I'm saying, my homies is starting to follow suit. Now before I end up going to prison, my homies was on some straight ism. And a lot of motherfuckers was trying to convert to being straight ism. Because niggas was taking notice that the niggas that was ism was the ones having all the money, having to fly cars and shit. Because I'm gonna be real, niggas was riding Monte Carlos and shit before ism. Niggas didn't upgrade to foreigns and all of that shit until ism popped up. You know what I'm saying? For that, niggas is in Monte Carlos, motherfucking Chargers and cars of that nature. And I'm pretty much guessing it didn't switch until Instagram and scamming came out. Now, my brother's still hanging out with the same homies, though. But now niggas is starting to switch back to more on some gangbanging shit again. But I'm guessing based on through Instagram or social media, or I don't know which fucking website it was because I was locked up. These niggas is starting to create beefs with hoods that we was already cool with. Based on, I guess, niggas flaunting they shit or on some jealousy shit. And not only that, we had niggas turning the hood that was from other hoods that beefed with hoods we got along with. So instead of niggas politicking on that shit and making them niggas nip that beef in the bud, niggas brought their old beef with them. So boom, you know what I'm saying? My homies, they hit my brother up one day. And I guess they asked him to go out to eat or whatever the fuck, right? So they end up going to Hot Wing Cafe on La Brea and Melrose or somewhere over there in Hollywood. So anyways, they go up into the Hot Wing Cafe and pretty much they was like ordering their food. It was like my brother and like 3 more of my homies. Now, while they ordering the food, a nigga walk in with a female, but the female knew one of my homies that was there, or some of my homies, or something like that. I wasn't there. I was in prison when this happened, so I'm just going off what my brother told me. Now, the nigga is from Schoolyard, and Schoolyard was one of them hoods that we used to get along with before I went to prison. So anyways, you know what I'm saying, they walk in and shit, and the girl recognized my homies. Now, I heard that supposedly she went up to hug somebody or give one of the homies a hug or something like that. And that's pretty much when the altercation started. So my brother, like, you know what I'm saying, the homies end up banging on dude. You know, he banged back. So now they getting into it with each other and shit. But my brother, he wasn't even tripping. He was trying to tell my homies, like, to chill. Based on we really didn't even beef like that, and he had a lot of love for Schoolyard niggas. But he said, oh boy, he was just too turned. And you know how when niggas got extras, niggas come with more extras. So eventually the arguing lead to a what you want to do type of situation. I just remember when my brother got to that part of the story, right? He was like, man, I knew that nigga had a pew-pew. He like, man, that nigga was just too turned up. It reminded me like some LA County jail shit. So he like pretty much the nigga got his hand on his waist like, what y'all want to do, nigga? Schoolyard crib. What y'all want to do, nigga? What's happening? But while he's saying it, he kind of backing up towards the door like hoping they'll follow him outside. Now, I don't know exactly what happened in between then, but eventually old boy ended up trying to leave. So when him and old girl trying to leave, one of my homies came outside, pulled out his pew-pew, and started cracking on them. Now, when they did that, old boy get the cracking back. And my brother was like, since he didn't have no pew-pew, he ended up running back into the Hot Wing Cafe with one of my other homies. The rest of my homies hop in their cars and get on. Now, my brother and one of the homies is waiting in the Hot Wing Cafe for, the pew-pew to stop. So after a minute of waiting in there, they eventually like, fuck it, they finna try to run to their car. Based on all the shooting had stopped and they thought that everybody had left. So anyways, they come outside, and when they came outside, old boy had doubled back. My brother said he seen a nigga drive out from the cut and just start cracking. So when dudes start cracking on my brother and a homie, they try to run back in the cafe. And in the middle of trying to run back in the cafe, my brother catch a bullet to the calf. You know what I'm saying? And dude drive off. So now my brother laying in front of the cafe, shot in the leg. But it's in his lower leg, as in the calf. So when I end up getting the call that he had got shot and hearing where he got shot at, I'm like, oh, okay, that shit ain't that serious. You feel me? He shot in the lower leg. He all right. No, it's crazy how the universe worked, though. So pretty much my brother, he gets shot, right? And they end up taking him to Cedars-Sinai. That's because Cedars-Sinai is closest to where it happened at and shit. It happened in Hollywood. And when he went to Cedars-Sinai, I'm guessing based on, since he didn't have no insurance, they pretty much like just patched him up real quick and sent him home. So now my brother, he out and he on crutches and shit. And he also on antibiotics. Now remember I told you that for a long time he couldn't knock a 304. And right before he got shot, he ended up knocking a 304, who ended up being my baby mama later. But that's another story. Now since it took him so long to knock a 304, he trying to play catch up because he had been out all this time with no money. And since that was the case, he was not finna let getting shot stop him. So pretty much based on he got shot in his lower leg, he not thinking that shit is that serious. So he outside in the streets with an open wound and on the crutches. Eventually he ended up throwing the crutches in the trash. Now I don't know exactly how long after, but a little bit of time after that, the leg wound started to hurt. So since his leg wound starting to hurt, he's going back and forth to the hospital complaining. Like he literally went to the hospital probably like 3 times, probably 4. And the last time I ever spoke with him, when I called him from jail, he was in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, why you up in the hospital? He like, man, my leg tripping and shit. I'm like, what's wrong with it? He like, shit, I don't know. It just keep hurting bad. Now, at first, he went to Cedars-Sinai. But since he didn't have insurance, Cedars-Sinai sent him to this other hospital. I forgot the name of it. And he going to these hospitals telling them that his leg is hurt. At first, the hospital was trying to say that he had a blood clot. And they gave him some blood thinners or something to, like, get the blood clot to, like, pass. So he was already knowing to, like, be careful because of that shit. So anyways, I guess he leave the hospital, right? I called home one day. My mom like, yeah, the ambulance just came and got my brother and shit and took him to the hospital. Now, at the time when he went to the hospital, he was drinking lean with the homies and shit when he actually went unconscious. So it was a rumor going around that my brother had OD, which was a fucking lie. So I called home and shit, and they like the ambulance came and got him. And they pretty much saying he in the hospital, but my mom saying he in the hospital with pneumonia. Because based on how close me and my brother was, she was not trying to tell me exactly what was going on. So based on she told me he was in the hospital with pneumonia, I'm like, why he not answering the phone? I'm like, I'm trying to call him. She gonna tell me that they don't have no phone in the hospital room and he didn't bring his cell phone with him. Now, days is going by, you know what I'm saying? And I can't get in contact with my brother, and my mom is just feeding me some bullshit all the time. But I had remember one night I had called her, and I don't even know if she had told me about my brother going to the hospital yet, but I remember getting off the phone with her, going back to my bunk. And then I had kind of thought about it. I'm like, damn, she sounded kind of weird. So I went back to the phone and called her again. Like, hey, is you all right? That's when she tell me, like, yeah. But I went back to my bed still feeling like, man, that shit was kind of weird. Now, my mom, she used to come see me every 4 months because I was all the way in Arizona. And that was starting to come up. So she tell me like, oh, we gonna come a few weeks early and shit. So I'm like, all right, cool. So the day come that I'm supposed to get my visit, and I'm on the yard playing dominoes, just waiting for them to call me out. Now, while I'm in the middle of playing dominoes, out of nowhere, a Jehovah's Witness called me. He had one of the fences that separate the yard from the chow hall area. And when I look over, he calling me to the fence. And the fence is kind of close, but it's kind of far at the same time. So, you know what I'm saying? I run over to the fence to see what he wanted. As soon as I walked up to the fence, he gave me a pamphlet. And when I read the pamphlet, it said, where does our loved ones go when they pass away? Soon as I read the pamphlet, and my heart already knew. I stood there at the gate. I dropped a few tears and shit. And while I'm at the gate, they still calling me back over to the domino table. But I'm trying to get myself together before I go back. And eventually, when I did go back, I couldn't stay at the domino table. I had to go inside. Now, when I went inside, that's when I called my mom, like, what the fuck taking them so long to come? That's when she tell me, like, yeah, they took my visits away because I had got caught with a bottle of liquor a month before that. But they never told me they took my visits away. That's when she finally just started breaking down and let me know the news. When she told me, I swear I couldn't believe that shit. All I can think of is what my brother was telling me before he passed. Before he got shot, he like, man, this shit wicked out here. He like, man, this shit so wicked, man. I can't believe this shit. Like, everybody dying. And then the next thing you know, he passed. So anyways, you know what I'm saying? When my brother ended up going to the hospital, everybody was thinking that he pretty much OD'd on lean because when he went unconscious, he was drinking lean. But that's not the case. He had caught sepsis, and sepsis is a disease that comes from open wounds when they get infected. All them times he was going back and forth to the hospital, they never checked his blood. And since they never checked his blood, he was walking around with an infection in his body the whole time. So eventually the infection took over his body to where he went unconscious. And based on niggas was thinking he was sleep off lean, he had lost too much oxygen to his brain. So by the time he got to the hospital, it was too late. After that, we tried to sue the hospital. We tried to sue Cedars-Sinai and the other hospital for like a negligence case or wrongful death or one of those type of things. But no lawyer would take the case, you feel me? Pretty much saying that the payout wouldn't be worth the case. But I'm gonna be real, I feel like they the reason why my brother really passed away. Because if they would have just did their job and checked his blood, he would still be here. But you know, nobody give a fuck when it's a young black nigga, especially if he wasn't cooperating with the police. But yeah, fuck Cedars-Sinai and that other hospital. Y'all like, follow, and comment for more stories.